Hello, I'm Peter Bell, and I'm here with Mr. Javier Orduña, or Aton Resources. Hello, Javi.
Yeah, hi Peter. Good evening or good morning or whatever it is, depending where we are.
And whenever the people who listen to this will have a chance to peer over your shoulder and see your Google Earth station.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it very interesting. I hope other people do.
Thanks for indicating some of the old mine sites.
Yeah, no worries. This is our exploration license. This is the new Abu Marawat concession. So we have the two projects. Of course, we have Hamama West down in the western area. I don't know if you can see my mouse down here.
Yes.
And we have the other resource up here at Abu Marawat in the northeastern part of the license area, and down in the southern part we have RODRUIN, which of course has been the main focus of our work for the last 12 months. And the other ancient mines, well, not ancient mines I should say, I'm sorry, the three British era mines which were mined in the early 1900s. We have gold mines at Sabakis and at Semna here, and we also have the tungsten mine at Abu Garida and the granite down here. So yeah, that's just a very quick intro to the Abu Marawat concession with some of the ancient mines and projects on it.
Wonderful. As you say, still a large land package in the Egyptian desert.
Yeah, it is. It is a big area now, as you know, Peter. We've just relinquished 20% of the license, which we're quite happy about. It allows us to concentrate on what we believe to be the most prospective areas of the license. It was 740 square kilometers. It's down now to a mere 600 square kilometers, but it's still a fairly sizable area. As part of that relinquishment, EMRA have granted us another year's extension to the exploration license, so that gives us March 2020 to carry on in the exploration phase of the project, which is excellent. And we have confidence that given the changes which are, well, we certainly believe are going to happen sometime in the near future to the Egyptian mining law, then we certainly hope and believe that we will be able to continue exploring at Abu Marawat, certainly a ways into the future. But yeah, wow. It's still a large area, and it's plenty enough for us to be going on with.
And I'd say the timelines involved in exploration, it's important to consider how many rounds of work can be done prospecting and searching in such a large area.
Well, yeah, it's a big area. It's a big area, and you've seen some of the terrain. It's not driving across a prairie. It takes a while to get from one end to the other. Our camp is, well, we have a camp. We have the original camp, which was built by Minex in the 1980s up at Abu Marawat, but our main base is down in the west at Hamama West. As you know, as part of a relinquishment, we've split the area up into two blocks. You can see these granites down through the middle here, which we believe are reasonably unprospective, so that's why we've split it up to take out this Abu Garida granite. That said, there is tungsten mineralization within the western part of this granite, and there's also a lot of uranium tunnels in this Eridia Pluton here between Abu Garida and RODRUIN. And there's also quite a lot of uranium workings up in this large rear Al Jarrah granite, which has always been outside the license up here. So we've reduced the license area. There's lots of work to do. We continue our work. It's a multi-phase, multi-track sort of exploration. It's not like we have a single license with a single target or prospect within that license area. As you know, we have a lot of targets, we have a lot of prospects. So while we're developing Hamama West, hopefully bringing it into production within, the aim is to bring it into production. At the same time, we've got advanced exploration at RODRUIN. While this is ongoing, we're also continuing our regional exploration program, really starting from grassroots and trying to bring forward some new targets. Plus, of course, we've got the work. We've done the initial sampling at places like Sabakis, Semna, Abu Gharish, Bachlog, and a whole lot of the other targets. So there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work ongoing, and we're at different stages. You know, we've probably got in excess of a dozen viable exploration targets within this area, which are at various stages.
One thing I don't see on the map is the highway off to the north of the property.
Okay, what you don't see is a highway. Well, the highway, Peter, here, up here, where my mouse is the settlement at kilometre 85. So I don't know if you can see it. I don't know what the resolution's like, but the wadi, the highway actually runs up through this wadi. You can just see on my screen the highway up here, which runs up to kilometre 85 here, parallels the railway line. The highway then continues basically up through this wadi and sort of up to the north of the license area, and at kilometre 85, where we have the uranium exploration base, funnily enough, the railway line splits off and it follows down this wadi, Wadi Semna, and down into our license area, down sort of through here like this, and comes down all the way through our license area, down through here, and over to the coast at Safaga. Yeah. So it's there. If you look really carefully, you can just about see it, but I don't know. Resolution will be good enough for you.
I can see it now that you traced it out. I wondered where it was.
Yeah, that's where it is.
And the settlement at Safaga that you mentioned, the settlement at kilometre 85. That's something interesting too. I wonder how many people.
Well, there it is. Let's zoom in and have a look. You can now see the highway pretty clearly. This is how many people there. I'm not sure. A lot of our drivers and our security guys come from 85. It's a Bedouin settlement. There's not an awful lot in the desert up here, but it's a settlement on the road. There is, as I say, a base. The Nuclear Materials Authority have a base there where they were doing the exploration in the granites back in the 70s and 80s, and still do a little bit of work, I believe. But there, you know, there's a lot of roadside cafes. Essentially, it's halfway between the coast. You've got the tourist resorts at Hurghada and Safaga on the coast, and inland on the River Nile, you've got the famous temples at Luxor. You've got, you know, Karnak, Valley of the Kings, and all these sorts of things. So largely, it's built around a whole bunch of cafes and coffee shops, which are places for, you know, travellers to stop, and particularly tourists when they're travelling between the coast and the sea.
And I hear Mark Campbell's voice echoing, saying, you know, mining could be bigger than tourism for Egypt.
I'm from Texas. Yeah, hell yeah, it could be bigger than tourism.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. You know, there's a lot of potential. There is a lot of potential in potential mining, yes.
And again, to talk about settlements and ancient settlements here, there's a couple blue dots on the map you have here.
Yeah, this is interesting. As I say, we relinquished 20% of the area. We've got a year's extension, and these are areas which we haven't looked at. But if we just zoom in on these areas, interestingly, as part of the license relinquishment, we actually included a small area up in the northeastern portion of the license here. People may have looked at the maps and wondered what that was all about. Well, we have done a little bit of work up there. We haven't reported, but we have some interesting things which is deserving of follow-up. And some of the things you can see on Google Earth, if we zoom in, you can see some ancient settlements and villages, which is really quite fascinating. It's one of the tools we use. I don't know if you can see here, Peter. Let me just draw a little line around this. But if we start up here, you can see quite an extensive area in here of ancient houses. I don't know how clear that looks.
It stands out that there's something there.
Yeah, well, it does. That's right. So let's zoom in. You know, this is an ancient village, you can see, and it's a big one as well. You know, there's a lot of houses up these side wadis, and you know, there's a whole bunch of them running down the valleys all the way down. Now, these houses run over about 500 meters up and down the valley. Now, obviously, as you know, Peter, the desert in Egypt is not the world's most hospitable place. People don't live out in the middle of this desert, and didn't live out in the middle of this desert. You know, there has been climate change. It's drier now than it was 3,000 years ago. But nonetheless, it's not really been a particularly wet part of the world. There's a reason why these houses are there. People were living out there, and essentially most of these ancient settlements that we see in the desert, they're ancient mining settlements. So Google Earth is an incredibly powerful tool. And, you know, these are new villages, new settlement, well, not new ones, they're very ancient ones, but they're ones which we haven't actually explored at all since we've had the license. If we go up to the north, there's another one up here. There's an ancient, you know, there's another ancient village up here.
Oh, wow.
Significant number of houses. And what it looks like to me, they look like ancient wadi workings looking around the hillsides. It's not obvious, but what can we see? That's interesting, this purple sort of stuff on the hillside, this purple scar. Wonder what that is. What's this up here? There's a cliff or some sort of black hole there. These white things, they could be processing pits. Don't know. But anyway, these are areas that we haven't been to. We have done a little bit of work up in this northeastern area where we've you know, included this area. You can see these pink rocks here. These are granites. These are intrusive granites. These sort of dark green grey rocks of a metavolcanic sedimentary sequence. So we've got these later pink granites intruded into the volcanic rocks. We know a lot of mineralization both within our license area. So if we come down to Abu Gharish, down here, I hope I'm not zooming too quickly. If we zoom in down here, we have mineralization associated, if I can find it, mineralization associated with these late granites. You see it in a lot of places. Again, I don't know if you can see these sort of sigmoidal scars. It's one of our favorite target areas down here at Abu Gharish. But it's a really interesting tool. So going back to where we were just now, let's zoom back out again. A lot of mineralization is associated with these late intrusive granites within the metavolcanic sedimentary sequence. Go back up to this area up here. So again, these are areas that we haven't looked at all, but there's evidence of ancient mining up here. There's interesting things that we see on Google Earth. You know, these purple scars, that's something similar to what we saw at RODRUIN. You know, this could be an ancient working here. Oops. This could be an ancient working here. These white things, they're possibly processing pits. So this is just an area we haven't looked at. And as you say, Peter, it's a big license area. It's 20% smaller than it was, but it probably still takes us a good 3 hours to get from our base at Hamama West to this area up here. So while we continue with our exploration on multiple levels and at multiple tracks, RODRUIN, of course, we're desperate to get back out there and resume the drilling as soon as we can. It's not the only thing we're doing. We're also working up targets at different levels, which we continue to intend to work up during the coming year and get out and drill some of these other places such as Abu Gharish, Bochlog and Semna. So there's a lot going on.
Certainly. And to have such a large land package, it becomes all the more important to know how to sort through it and to have a stack of targets waiting at different stages.
Well, it is. I mean, I guess one of the buzzwords in exploration now is the pipeline. And it is effectively, we do have a pipeline. You know, we have the two resources at Hamama West and Abu Marawat. Certainly, Hamama West is moving towards development. We have our most advanced exploration target at RODRUIN. We completed the first phase of drilling last year, which we were, very happy with. We hit mineralization and good widths of good grade, economic grade mineralization in pretty much most of the holes. But at the same level, we've got less advanced targets where we've done surface sampling. We know there's, plenty of exciting targets. And at the same time, the next phase back in, right at the beginning of the pipeline, then we're finding these, these new potential areas such as up here in the northeastern part of the license. We continue to, think that the Abu Marawat concession is, a wonderful piece of ground to hold.
I think this is the first time I've ever seen you add to the concession area.
Well, it's pretty unusual when you relinquish. Normally, when you relinquish, you don't actually add bits in. We didn't necessarily make a big thing about it, but But if everyone had the opportunity to bring in things outside their license area, which they thought were interesting, then I think people would be very happy. But we in Egypt do have that opportunity to do that on this occasion. We also actually down here towards Massagat, in this area here, the license basically came across down here, straight down and straight across. So we actually added another little triangle in here, which is of interest to us as well. So
amazing.
It's not how it's normally done.
No, certainly not. But nothing about the exploration industry in Egypt today would expect it.
No, it doesn't work like most places. But we're hoping that it will gradually move to a more standard jurisdiction, which will be good for us and will be good for everyone, I believe.
Well, and in the meantime, you have all this good exploration work to do and stuff that you can do from satellite imagery and here. Again, the potential for an exploration model or a discovery process around these old villages, and with Eridia there for RODRUIN, that was a legendary example of pulling on a thread, right?
Yeah, well, let's zoom in on Eridia. Let me see if I can find it. Here's RODRUIN. Where are we? We're about 4 kilometers, 3.5 kilometers, something like that. So let me see if I can find Eridia. Which one is it? No, wrong one.
Up.
Up. Which side valley is it? Oh, I should know this. I've got it marked somewhere, but
this is it. No, this is the area. Yeah.
There we are. There's Eridia.
Big pink showings of rock. Yeah, heaps and how did those get there?
Yeah, well, that was the question. That was what lured us into RODRUIN. These distinctive pink tailings, high grade 20 gram plus tailings. They were mining some pretty decent ore. And just to compare it, as I say, to the area we just looked at northeast, these are pink tailings piles. You can see plenty of houses all over the place. These white pits, little processing pits where they were puddling the ore. So again, similar to these other areas. And for any of your listeners, I don't know if anyone was at PDAC, not this year, but last year, there was a technical session on the Arab Nubian session where both myself and Henry from Tani Stratex, the other company operating in Egypt, we both did presentations. But Orca were also there before us, and they did a very interesting presentation, and they were talking about doing exactly the same sort of thing as we're doing here, using Google Earth, but terrain in Sudan is not entirely dissimilar to what we're looking, and they were looking at ancient houses and going out and finding this sort of stuff. So, it remains a very useful exploration tool in the area that we're working in.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give everything away, of course.
It's funny. Good ideas seem to travel and pop up in a variety of places. So it's, if anything, some encouragement, right? You're on to something. Keep going.
Yeah, well, what works. That's how it is. What works. A bicycle is still a bicycle. Wheels, which are round, generally haven't been replaced yet because wheels work.
And it occurs to me that the experience of having some exploration success with this yourself at RODRUIN will probably, have a direct impact on your prioritizing the credence that you give it as well.
Yeah, well, look, it's a very useful technique. It's undeniable. It's worked for us, and we're not the only people it's worked for. I'm sure it's working for other people. I'm sure there's other people out doing the same sort of stuff as we are, and these are one of the things we're looking at as we're looking at other things as well.
Yeah, well, this is it. The race is on. Mineral exploration. It's a race against the clock to some degree, it seems.
Well, it is. I mean, one of the things that we're looking forward to with the change in legislation that will come in Egypt is the jurisdiction opening up. As I say, it's really only us and Tani Stratex who are exploring there at the moment, and it's good. It's good for us, but you know, there's hundreds and thousands kilometers of vacant ground in some of the most prospective, underexplored territory left in the world for gold mineralization. And while that's good for us, because obviously we're considering options and we'll be hoping to, you know, pick more ground up as times change. You know, it's not great for Egypt. But you know, as things change, these opportunities will open up, and you know, we're looking at areas which we will be interested in when things do change. We will certainly be looking to acquire new areas, and of course, we're doing stuff in the background. And doubtless, there's a lot of other people who are doing the same as us, and you know, that goes without doubt. We've talked to a lot of people that. Egypt's very high up on my radar. Yeah, things are going to change. You know, as we say, we don't know when, but change is clearly coming. But you know, it will be good for us. It will be good for the industry as a whole, and and it will be good for Egypt as well.
Well, and as you show us here with looking over your shoulder, as they say, into your Google Earth screen. The many other people in the world who can be doing this exact thing, right? There may not be a lot of talk about it at this point, but with so much exposure of so much rock at surface and important features of all kinds hiding in plain sight, it makes me think, you know, about all the excitement going on in Nevada, some major business deals in the mining sector, and what the future could be for Egypt. It's inspiring stuff.
Well, I think so. You know, I think so. And the work that we've done in Egypt, you know, there's a lot of easy, obvious sort of stuff. You know, there's a lot of ancient mines which have been identified, but as you know, RODRUIN had not been identified, not in modern times. Of course, we weren't the first people there. You know, we picked it out from remote sensing work, and you know, Google Earth was one of the tools that we used to find it. And then we zoomed in, and then we could see it. You know, there's no houses up there, but you can see. You can see the paths and stuff up there. But you know, most of the ancient mines are, of course, the high-grade quartz veins, which you know, which were exploited in the past. But you know, there's different types of gold deposit present in Egypt, and they, you know, there's bulk. You know, we believe there's potential for bulk deposits, which probably haven't been mined by the ancients. So that's what excites us about. That's what excites us about places like these villages up here. You know. There may or may not be, you know, deep workings in primary rock, as we say. If we go up to this one, what's this purple scar? What's this thing up here? Maybe they are actually mines, but this one down here, you know, wherever it's gone, they were clearly mining. You know, these are alluvial mines. The way that these villages are set out, they were mining gold in the wadis. Yeah. And so why were they mining gold? Where did it come from? There must be a primary source, but it wasn't mined as a quartz vein. So you know, we really are at the very first cycle of exploration in Egypt, and we have a lot of useful tools like what we can see from outer space. But there's more to it than, you know. There's a house. There's an ancient gold mine. There is where we go and look. It's a little bit more to it than that.
Well, no, I thank you for saying alluvial gold in the wadis too. The search is on for the mother lodes from these legendary fields, gold fields, whether it's the Yukon or Brazil or British Columbia, all over the world. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, you know, we certainly believe, well, we know a lot of the gold mineralization is related to lake granites. You know, there's similarities to other parts of the world and certain types of deposits. So you know, we know we're looking at potentially bulk low-grade deposits. You know, Sukari. What is Sukari? That's a 20 million ounce resource. That is not an insubstantial gold mine. And we believe these are the sort of targets that we're looking for in Egypt.
Wonderful. Javier Orduña, Aton Resources, thank you very much.
No worries, Peter. Good to catch up, and I'm sure we will do it again soon.